Hello, welcome to our class on the laws of evil speech. We're studying the laws of Rechilus, of tail-bearing, and we are on chapter 1 of Rechilus, number 8. Now, Rechilus, as we mentioned, is when you go to somebody and say, hey, did you hear what Steve was saying about you? Did you hear what Steve did to you? Or did you hear what so-and-so was saying these bad things about you? It causes hatred between people, and we mentioned from a verse that is somebody who does that is somebody that Hashem, quote-unquote, hates. So let's continue with where we left off with the laws we were at. Now, what if someone asks you, sometimes you just have a bad guy that goes around telling people what so-and-so said about them, and sometimes he'll pressure you and say, hey, I heard Steve said something about me. What did he say? Tell me what Steve said. So what are you supposed to answer? So אם יש לו עצה להשיב באופן שלא יהיה שקר גמור וגם לא יהיה רכילוס, ישיבהו באופן זה, ולא יוצא שקר מפיו. Now, if it's possible to tell him the truth without it being rechilus, then you should do that. Or that it wouldn't be totally false. Right? He's asking you, what did Steve do to me? Steve did something that was bad to him. And you know if you tell him what Steve did, he's not going to be too happy. So what you should do is you should try to get out of it a little bit by not saying something that's completely false, but something that's like not totally false, as that's what he says. So, and that it shouldn't be rechilus. So that you shouldn't speak falsehood, because we should try not to lie. Even in this situation, we should try not to lie. It's very important not to lie. Now, now, if you know your friend's not going to believe you, if you kind of say this half truth and he's going to keep pressuring you, he's not going to listen to you. Not that he's going to keep pressuring you, but that he's not going to listen to what you said. Then you could say total sheker. You could lie because of peace. But don't swear falsely and look in the Ber Mayim Chaim. So if you know there's no way out of it by saying something by telling the truth, you lie. One is allowed to lie in this scenario. One is allowed to lie to keep the peace between people, and we learned that the reason why tail-bearing is such a bad sin is because it causes hatred between people. So if Steve did something bad to this guy, and the guy keeps asking you, "What did Steve say? What did Steve say?" You just lie. Just say, yeah, oh no, he didn't say anything. He said you were a nice guy. Nothing happened. And even if Steve's going, or whatever it is, he really did something bad. So you lie, because it's one should lie to keep the peace. Okay. But again, the first thing is that if you can get out of it without lying totally and without saying rechilus, you should do that. But if you can't get out of it without lying, then you should lie. Okay, tests. Number 9. Now, even if you tell this guy something was done to him. Let's say you don't tell him who the individual was that did something bad to him, but you mention what happened, and he figures it out himself. Who it was. Or he knows what the issue was. Or he knows that someone said something about him, and you're like hinting to him who it was. That is also rechilus. So if you tell him the story and he figures out through your story who it is, even if you didn't say the name of the person that did something bad to him, that is forbidden. And even if he knows, this guy knows what happens, he knows somebody did something bad to him, he just doesn't know who it was. And you do one of those things like, was it John? Was it Steve? Was it this one? And you make a funny face when it gets to Steve's name, then that is also rechilus, because through your hinting, he figured out who spoke rechilus about him. Okay. It's also forbidden to speak rechilus in a sneaky manner. What's this? You know that your friend and Steve, they had a fight a long time ago. They had a falling out. Something happened at work. Steve did something bad to your friend, and it was many years ago, and you know about this. Who wrote and you want to stir the pot and make and start the fight again. That's machlokas hayishana. Shahaisa beinayim over zeh. And you want to make it like when you're telling your friend, you're like doing it innocently. So you just mentioned it. He's like, oh yeah, didn't something happen at work a few years back? Someone spoke badly about you to your boss. Didn't something like that happen? And you're just saying it like in the manner of conversation. And you pretend that you don't know what happened. And through this, your friend remembers what happened. And the guy says, Steve went to the boss and lied about me to him, and it got me fired. This is totally prohibited. So if you go to your friend and just like innocently, you're trying to be a little sneaky guy, and you innocently say that didn't something happen at work a few years back, and through that he's reminded of this bad thing that Steve did to him. And that is prohibited. You're causing hatred between people. Okay, halacha yud aleph. V'da'od, and no further. De'ein chiluk be'isser rechilos benim hu mesaper lo beferish, masha echad asalo, o diber alav, uben al yidei michtav. There's no difference whether you speak it or whether you write it. Right, whether you write it down. So right, you write things just like we have by Lashon Hara, writing things on the internet, texting something. No difference if you text it or if you say it. And there's no difference if you say something, if you mention, let's say, the whole time we're saying Steve did something bad to your friend, or Steve said something bad about your friend. But even if Steve says something bad about his merchandise, let's say your friend owns a store and he sells N95 masks, and you tell your friend, oh, Steve was saying that you have poor quality N95 masks. That is also Rechilus, that's also a prohibition of talebearing, because through that, hatred enters his heart. Okay, and with that we complete the first chapter of Hilchos Rechilus, and next time, God willing, we'll start with the second chapter of Hilchos Rechilus, and hope everyone has a beautiful evening.